Some way, somehow, this Washington Nationals team holds a NL wildcard spot. How did we get here? What will happen? Is this team truly a contender? We'll answer this after this.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. It's really your own decision. Later on in the show, the Nationals, they have a three-headed monster. It's not in the starting lineup. It's not in the starting rotation. But we'll discuss that and what it is a little bit later on, and I'll explain to you as to why this is a three-headed monster, and it has been one of the better things about this Nationals team so far in 2024, and in my opinion, why this Nationals team has been very good over the last few weeks here in 2024. We'll discuss that in the third segment of today's show. Second segment, it is a Monday. You know what that means. It is a National Stock Report Monday. Who's been up, who's been down, who's been hot, who's been not, whatever you want to say with that, that is your decision to make. But that is your latest individual performances. And again, who's been up, who's been down. The Nationals have had some very good performances over the last week or so. So we'll highlight those in the second segment. But we got to start off with talking about this Nationals weekend because, again, the Nationals, they did it again. Before that, today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. And game off, we got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends or tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now free on Google Play or the App Store. And of course, game on. So let's talk about yesterday's game because the Nationals, they got into a very early hole as they did score first in the first inning against Alek Manoah, who, by the way, at one point in time, I was thinking this guy was going to be a monster. In fact, going into 2023, he was my Cy Young predictor. Last year, everything blew up on him. I don't know what it has been. It seems as if it's kind of like a Rick Ankiel situation where this guy has the yips. And really, if you look at it, what he has done since, he's been awful. He's got an ERA similar to what Patrick Corbin has since that time frame. In yesterday's ball game, you know, the Nationals, they put up a run in the first inning off him. No big deal. But then the Blue Jays come and bounce back. They score 5 runs in that second inning. So it's 5-1 Nationals. And at that point, you're kind of like, okay, well, this game's likely over. Then it gets to 6-1 in the third inning. And you're like, okay, this game's more than likely over. And then all of a sudden, in that fourth inning, things blow up for Alek Manoah. And again, Luis Garcia, he homers in the third inning, obviously, to make that a 6-2 game. And then later on in that fourth inning, Luis Garcia yet again just coming up in a big-time situation, a 2-run RBI single, the line drive to center field, and Luis Garcia, welcome to the big leagues. This is the kind of prospect that the Nationals were envisioning when it came to Luis Garcia, a offensive first second baseman who, by the way, is not very good defensively, which they knew from the get-go, but still, this is what you envision. This is kind of the dream scenario when it comes to Luis Garcia over at second base. The Nationals always knew that this guy was not going to be their franchise shortstop. He was just that stopgap until you found your C.J. Abrams now, in between Trey Turner and then going to C.J. Abrams. Luis Garcia was never going to be your shortstop. But if you pluck him in over at second base, again, someone who may not be all that talented defensively, and again, not very good defensively either, you can still kind of see as to why this Nationals team believes in Garcia yet again. The reason why they gave him this opening day spot, it's not because they didn't think Trey Lipscomb wasn't ready. I think the Nationals obviously thought Trey Lipscomb was ready considering he was up in game 2 after Nick Senzel hurt his finger right before opening day. But Luis Garcia is having this resurrection this year that not a lot of people would have predicted, including myself. I went into this season very down on Luis Garcia. I thought even at some point this, maybe even spring training, I didn't think it would happen, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Luis Garcia was cut loose and DFA'd. He's got no more options. You can't just send him back down to AAA. It really would not have surprised me to see the Nationals either trade him or just simply DFA him. And if you remember last year, he got sent down to the trade deadline in a pretty shocking move, if we're being honest. He was in a slump, and in that slump, it was, pretty obvious that the Nationals weren't thrilled with him. They weren't really giving him all the playing time. And at that point, I was livid with the decision. I was livid. I wanted to see him get more opportunities. The team was bad last year, obviously. It was a lot better than what it was in 2022, but it still wasn't a good team. I wanted to see them have all the opportunities, let him go out there and mess up and make mistakes and learn the ball player that he is. And then it came out that Mike Rizzo said, well, it's not really a thing of discipline when it comes to Luis Garcia. We're sending him down for the reason of we want to see this guy go in and prepare to be a big leaguer every single day. He does not have the preparation skills to do that right now. That is why they sent down Garcia. So at that time, that's when it kind of made sense to me. I was like, okay, he's got some maturing to do. Let's see if he can mature and be a better ball player from it. Well, so far this season, Luis Garcia has been one of the Nationals' better players. And this Nationals team, the reason why that they are at 500 so far on May 6th and that they are in a wild card spot, which again, oh my God, the Nationals hold a wild card spot. It is because of that middle infield. CJ Abrams and the development that he has made. Luis Garcia, the development and the steps that he has made up at the plate. This middle infield right now, it's starting to kind of make sense. You're starting to see why the Nats really believe in this middle infield. This is starting to kind of think about the future down the line and what this team could be. Luis Garcia, I'm still not 100% sold that this is what he's going to be. I've always thought that he could be a plus offensive sided guy with a little bit lower average on defense, but right now, you can't help but just think about how this guy is killing the baseball in the middle of this lineup and having that 4-for-4 day yesterday with 4 RBIs, batting now up to 337 with an 891 OPS on the season. This is the dream scenario for Luis Garcia. I don't think his numbers look like this at the end of 2024, but still at this point, having under team control for the next few years, Luis Garcia being a relatively big part of this rebuild, being one of the veteran guys, quote unquote, someone who has been in the organization, someone who has been developed by this organization, you can't help but think maybe the Nationals have struck gold here with Luis Garcia, because that's starting to what it feels like at this point. And Barry's Fluga, he wrote a little article about this today in the Washington Post. I did want to touch real quick, but CJ Abrams, obviously the breakout season has immense with him. This guy has been incredible for this Nationals team. Although one thing I will say, he had a hit yesterday. He had a couple strikeouts as well. But CJ Abrams should not be in the leadoff role at this point. I think moving him away from the leadoff role, I get what Davey is trying to do and try to play a little chess, not checkers here with major league lineups and kind of throw it around. But CJ Abrams should be your leadoff hitter. Number one, analytically speaking, having your best hitter, which by far and away is CJ Abrams at this point, have him get the most at-bats. That is when your offense has kind of been humming. Now, Jacob Young has been great in the leadoff spot. It's benefiting him. But if we're being honest, yes, it is about the team, but it's also really about CJ Abrams as he is the centerpiece of this rebuild. And Barry's Fluga from the Washington Post talked to Mike Rizzo about this, and this is not the exact verbatim of what he said, but he said that it's going to be tough to extend CJ Abrams at this point. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to be pre-mad, but we all know the drill here. The Nationals, they do have money to spend. There really is no more excuses anymore. And again, it takes two to tango here. Will CJ Abrams agree to a deal? That's number one. And number two, will Lerner family dish out the money to get that extension? They did the same thing with Keibert Ruiz last year. But as we kind of see now, he's batting 134 at the 418 OPS. That's not looking all too hot right now. His defense is very below average. It's not good. So if the Nationals can do this a little bit further, maybe with a step up in the game from maybe a Jesse Winker, even more so down the line, maybe a step up from Keibert down the line, this Nationals team could be sitting in a pretty decent spot as far as a wild card race goes. Now, am I predicting that will happen? No, but it's making it for a fun first half of the season. And the Nationals, of course, they have all the opportunities sitting right in front of them. And maybe, you never know, you can make a postseason run. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, we got to talk about the Nats stock report. Who's been up? Who's been down? I will tell you who that is and all your latest individual performances after we tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at LinkedIn. And guys, I want you to know that, are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Call right now. You can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Also, before we can move on, let me tell you guys about our very good friends, one of my favorite games out there, at Monopoly Go. And guys, all right, game is off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. And I know what you're saying. There's a flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friend to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasures or a robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent. Frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go and download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. And of course, as you start, game on. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. If you're a new listener, then you may not know actually what this segment is. It is a stock up and a stock down. It's not about the Nationals as a team. This is about individual performances. We try to highlight some of the younger players, but of course, you do get into some of the older guys as well. So let's start off with a stock up. As we mentioned in the first segment, Luis Garcia, the Nationals second baseman, breaking out this year. So far on the year, has been killing the baseball, as we highlighted his very good offensive numbers in the first half of the season. Batting third yesterday, having 4 hits against the Blue Jays, really padding his numbers there, of course, but he's batting .337 on the season with an .891 OPS. But even furthermore than that, he started off the year a little bit slow, but then has picked it right up since then. Over his last 7 games, here's his slash line. Batting .417, a .482 on-base percentage, a .708 slug, that is an 1190 ops, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs in those last 7 games. And again, adding 4 RBIs in yesterday's contest on Friday, hitting a huge home run against the Blue Jays. And by the way, can I just mention, I was at that game on Friday, and as soon as he hit that, the way that he pimped that home run, I want you to go over to the Nationals social media site. I believe they did post that swing. Tell me that doesn't look like Ken Griffey Jr. in the way that he just kind of pimped that ball, the way that the lights went off and everything. Luis Garcia, when he gets a hold of them, number one, they're rockets. Number two, he pimps them, man. He's a young guy. He's out there having fun. And at this point, the way that he has been having fun, the way that this team has been playing, you should be able to pimp it. You should be able to go out there with feeling yourself a little bit. Luis Garcia has been coming into his own this season. And again, this has been one of the better developments of 2024 outside of C.J. Abrams and his dominance. Maybe the Nationals have fouled something here. Just maybe. I'm not saying that they have, but if they did, you never know. Maybe he is the second baseman of the future after all. A stock down. Nationals third round pick back in 2022. My guy, the guy that I love, the guy that I wanted to replace Luis Garcia. Trey Lipscomb. So far, Trey Lipscomb has showed that he is not an everyday major league player. That is okay. That is okay, and that is just fine, in fact. I've always kind of thought that Trey Lipscomb will likely be your ultra utility guy. You need people like that. You need them. They need to be there. They need to play good defense. And Trey Lipscomb hasn't really been playing all that great of defense. It seems as if he's kind of had the yips. As we saw him over at first base yesterday, or not yesterday, over the last few days here, it wasn't a good experience for him. And again, at the plate, it hasn't been a good experience as well. Over his last 11 at-bats, he's 0 for 11. Over his last 18 at-bats, he's 1 for 18. Now, you could talk about Trey Lipscomb and what he brings to the table. Again, he brings position flexibility. He brings some really positive defensive metrics. But still, at the plate, he has not been getting the job done. And if you know me, if you're an everydayer out there, you know that as a Locked On Nationals host, I want offense. That is what wins you baseball games in 2024. Let's be honest. You need to have good defense, obviously, too. But as a team, as an individual, it's a little bit different. I want to see you have offensive production, especially if he is going to be an everyday third baseman, if he's going to be maybe an everyday first baseman at some point. I don't know what his plan will be, but again, you go into this year, I expected a little bit more production, even off the bat after killing the baseball down at spring training. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I was wrong. I don't know if I gave him too much pressure at first, but I've been wrong about Trey Lipscomb so far, and it hasn't been a great start for the kid. You know what has been a great start? It's been a stock up kind of year for Jacob Young. Again, middle round pick, not really all that many expectations. He's kind of the outfielder type of Trey Lipscomb. That is kind of who I envision him being. Jacob Young is not going to be a starting outfielder on this Nationals team in the future. That is just my humbled opinion. But as of right now, he is. And Victor Robles is down in the minor league, still rehabbing, still doing his thing. But Jacob Young, batting .367, a .424 OBP, a .467 slug, and an .891 OPS since the start of the Miami series. And also, in that time frame, over his last 30 at-bats, has only struck out 3 times, and has also had 6 stolen bases in that time frame as well, and got caught stealing 1 time because he was pushed off the bag. It should have been another stolen base, so he should have 7 stolen bases in that time frame as well. Jacob Young has been, again, back with Luis Garcia, one of the better outcomes of 2024, at least for the first month of the season. If you're going to give out best, most improved players outside of Garcia and Abrams, it's going to be Jacob Young. And again, this kind of bodes well for this organization when you have a lot of young guys coming through. You still have James Wood down in the minors, who's killing the baseball right now, by the way. You still have Brady House. You still have Dylan Cruz. You have Robert Hassel, who seems to be back on the upswing of things and could be a legit prospect once again. All these things bode well. All of it. Does it have to do with the new front office? Does it have to do with the player development system that this team has? I don't know at this point. But at some point in time, you got to sit there and wonder, is this for real? Is this Nationals team starting to develop guys at the rate that they once did back in the day with Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, Anthony Rendon, Trey Turner, all the guys that have flown through the system? It's starting to look like Mike Rizzo got his swagger back a little bit. So that's always a good thing for this Nationals team. You're having guys develop. Jake Irvin last year, Mitchell Parker this year as well. Things are looking pretty damn good for this Washington Nationals team. Stock down for Joey Meneses. I'm going to say this. This is the one negative that I will say. And again, I'm not going to end on a stock up today, unfortunately, because we don't have all too much time. But this is a stock down. Just one stock down. Joey Meneses. You might be asking, why are you giving Joey Meneses a stock down? I'm going to say this, even before getting into the numbers. Hand up, I'm tired of it. No more Joey Meneses. I'm done. You might say, well, what else do you do? I don't know. I don't know what you do at this point. But I can tell you this, I am exhausted of the Joey Meneses experience. It reminds me of 2022. The guy, great story, incredible story, in fact, killed the baseball in 2022. I was thinking, yes, of course he should be a designated hitter going into last season. Of course he should be an opening day starter. He deserved it. He was one of the Nationals' better hitters in the second half after trading away Juan Soto. A year apart after trading away Trey Turner. A year apart after trading away Kyle Schwarber as well. Of course, yes, Joey Meneses, get in there on opening day in 2022. Get in there in 2023, rather. But it's May 6th, 2024. Joey Meneses in the last 10 games batting 146 with a 371 OPS. And on the season, it has not been pretty at all. A 533 OPS. He's batting 277. He had 2 walks in yesterday's contest, but still, come on, people. The time is over. It's done. It's a wrap. Joey Meneses, love the guy. Great story. I see people with his jerseys out there. God bless his story. I love his story. It's amazing. But we're in the business of winning baseball games. We're in the business of developing prospects, in the business of developing stars for the future. Joey Meneses, in my opinion at this point, is a roadblock for that. If I was the Nationals, I'd cut bait yesterday. I'd trade him for whatever you can get. I don't care if it's a baseball. I don't care if it's 2 baseballs. I don't care if it's nothing. At this point, you got to give up on the Joey Meneses experience. You might be asking, why are you going so hard in the paint on this? What is there to lose? Well, it's not really what is there to lose, but there are a lot younger guys down in AAA, maybe a Travis Blankenhorn, maybe name that prospect, a Stone Garrett, who will be up in the bigs, who can then kind of fill in that DH hole. Joey Gallo, when he's back to being 100%, he could fill that DH hole, play first base, do whatever his thing is. And again, it just has not been pretty for Joey Meneses. I'm tired of it. I'm exhausted of it, in fact. No more Joey Meneses in 2024. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, let me tell you guys about this Nats 3-headed monster. It's not the starting rotation, and it's not the Nationals offense. It's not their defense. I'll tell you who it is after I tell you guys about our friends over at Yahoo Financing. Guys, wouldn't it be great if you could see all your investment and retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. I have an investment account with Schwab and a 401k with Fidelity, and I've been using Yahoo Finance and consolidating them in one place, which has made it incredibly easy to manage them. And of course, for more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has the brand behind every great investor. And of course, even beyond that, whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data that you need in one place. And they're the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial platforms, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. With a community of over 90 million users of each month, the real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Now we get back into it, as the Nationals are a wild card team. But more importantly, the Nationals, they have a day off today. They play the Orioles tomorrow, the 2-game series at home in Washington, D.C., which, by the way, this will be the first time in Major League Baseball that both teams will be wearing the City Connect uniforms. And also, this is kind of something I forgot to jot down before the show. The Nationals wore their... I'm all over the place right now. Sorry, but let me get into this because, again, the Nationals wore their pullover jerseys yesterday. That just reminded me of this. They weren't that bad. At first, when they first came out, I was like, this is hideous. This is disgusting. I don't want to wear it. But they look pretty damn good. And also, let me add this. Jesse Winker killed it. I don't know what it was. The Nationals put out a little video of him. I'm like, that looks pretty damn good. Maybe Jesse Winker's just a good-looking dude. Whatever, but still, he's killing that look. The Nationals, they looked pretty good yesterday. Maybe it was because they had that comeback win after being down 5-1 early on in the game. Maybe it was because Mackenzie Gore was striking out Blue Jays left and right. Maybe that's just because that's what happened. But ultimately, those jerseys were pretty clean. After looking at them in the offseason and saying, that is disgusting. I love the away jerseys right away. And now they were kind of a little bit bland to me, in my opinion. I don't think they're all that great, but those pullovers were pretty damn sick. But so now tomorrow, the Orioles are coming to town against the Washington Nats. They'll both be wearing their City Connect uniforms, which will be kind of a cool thing. First time in Major League Baseball history that both teams will wear those City Connect jerseys. So that's pretty cool. Wanted to give a kudos to them for coming together, wearing those City Connects. But as we said, the Nationals have a three-headed monster. It's not the starting rotation. It's not C.J. Abrams, Luis Garcia, and Joey Gallo, or whoever it could be. The third spot, maybe Jesse Winker you can throw in there. The Nationals have a three-headed monster in the back of their bullpen. You have a setup for the setup guy, you have a setup guy, and you have your closer. Let me introduce you. Dylan Floro, Hunter Harvey, Kyle Finnegan. These three guys, so far in 2024, if you see them come into a ball game, you got to feel really confident about where things are headed. And you saw this in yesterday's game. You saw it all from really just seventh inning on, and really even before that, with Dylan Floro coming into the game, having 0 earned runs, only having 0 strikeouts as well. And again, let me reiterate, all three of those guys combined in yesterday's ball game had 0 strikeouts. Kyle Finnegan always starts off the season very rough, but as always, turns around midway through the season. And you can talk about the ERAs. It really does not mean much. But Dylan Floro, I will. A 0.52 ERA on this season. This guy has been nasty, going multiple innings pitched, having a pretty high pitch count at times, having the day out. Then Davey Martinez emptied the bullpen, went through all their A guys, as you saw Jordan Weems, you saw Derek Law, Dylan Floro, Hunter Harvey, Kyle Finnegan, and of course, the rest of the guys in that pen as well. The Nationals, this back end of the bullpen is legit. I don't know what will happen at the trade deadline because, again, Kyle Finnegan and Hunter Harvey, they're locked up through 2026. Now, what will the Nationals do with Dylan Floro at this point? Well, I can tell you this. He's probably going to be a hot commodity at the deadline if he continues to pitch this way. But at some point, the Nationals are going to have to make a decision with Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan. Both guys are getting relatively old, but still they are under team control. You don't just send these guys away packing for nothing because, again, for the cheap value that they bring to the table and also the production. If the Nationals plan to produce next season, you have to have a real conversation. Is it worth trading away your 2 top guys in the back end of your bullpen for guys for the future when these guys could potentially help you make a postseason run this next season? It's going to be a real conversation to be had, but again, as far as the NL East goes, this back end of the Nats bullpen has been legit. And again, and again, and again, they come through every single time. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I hope you guys enjoyed your Monday. The Nats are off today. We'll have baseball for you tomorrow. And of course, here on Locked On Nationals, we'll have you covered. Have a good one. Go Nats.